Xóa đây đi rồi. Bây giờ nhé, một máy hay như một máy mày sẽ biết mày có để tôi lấy. Rồi chắc là
thi đó hả?
thi nữa.
Trời ơi đúng là
Má tay múa luôn.
thì cái định phận vậy. Ồ. Với này vậy nhất nha.
Rồi, chưa biết này. Mấy bữa nay tao đâu xài bê tông mà. Còn bê tông mà.
Mày nói mày nghiên cái cho nó bật mà. Mày không ăn không ăn nữa.
Xả bánh đi ăn.
Vậy là đi ăn.
Đi ăn chơi.
Tao đâu đi ăn đâu.
Con kiểu cũ chị.
Anh không đi ăn thì anh đi chơi rồi anh.
Không thì hắn chơi
Mấy giờ?
3-4 giờ.
3 giờ thì giờ tự ta chơi nữa.
Anh không đi chơi.
Nhìn cái gì vậy?
Thôi, tao ăn. Bye bye.
Livestream rồi.
Trong chai không em trình cái đó không toàn bộ rồi ấy năm mày đã kéo qua là mình dùng cái đó để hiện vậy chứ tao làm tới
Đây là set up luôn. Có cần chỗ của tao
họ không một hồi nữa về đây về đào sáng để đi chưa có bên trái
sắp luôn đi.
gọi ban giám khảo vậy chứ.
trong hai đường phát triển. Bước chân ngày càng chứng minh được vị thế vững chắc của mình trong việc đào tạo trên hướng Việt Nam thành công thành phố Thủ Đức. Với phương châm đã dành nhiều của con người biết nhất cho học viên, bước chân của người học giáo để lớn thuyết phục sự tin yêu của bạn sinh viên truyền thống ngân hàng và kinh tế luận để học các cao đại học sư học kỹ thuật. Trong đó, giáo viên nhiều năm kinh nghiệm năng động nhiệt huyết cũng sẽ để đào tạo ra 100 bằng tốt nghiệp đại học thông cộng, trong đó có hơn 50 bạn học viên đạt chứng chỉ thông cộng. Các sinh viên của trong những phòng thi với kinh nghiệm giúp học viên đánh giá được khả năng của mình sau
Tí nữa sẽ phải biết đi chụp video cho bạn.
Đây là thời gian 2018 điều của phát triển các sự đề bài chứng minh được thực tế của các bộ trong việc đào tạo chức vụ tự do trong công việc nghề nghiệp trực tiếp. Phương châm sẽ xác định điều kiện hơn thì thiết thiết cho học viên, cũng sẽ cùng được giải giá về nhận trách nhiệm sự kinh nghiệm của bạn sinh viên, từ ngân hàng, kinh phí luật đến chất kho đại học sự luật, chính thức tự do kinh nghiệm năm kinh nghiệm nhân động nhiệt huyết, cũng sẽ được đào tạo ra hàng trăm học viên đi đào tạo công cộng, trong đó hơn 50 bạn học viên đạt chức trong công cộng. Các sự đổi chức nhiệm kỳ thi quyết định kỳ
dưới nó tự lo được.
Dear guests, judges, contestants, and spectators, in just a few minutes, the International Commercial Arbitration Moot, ICA Moot 2025, will officially take place. We may request that all the guests, judges, contestants, and the audience quickly settle in so that the contest can officially begin. Mr. Lê has some other business and can't come to the final round today. So right now, we're about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all to the final round of ICA Moot 2025. I'm Yuan, and here's my partner. I'm Song Ho. Today, standing here as a third judging 10 semi-final round, we, LRAC, congratulate to all the teams who have given the best throughout the competitions. Besides, along with our contestants today, we would also love to spread our appreciation for the sponsor and the member of the tribunal for your dedications. Dear participants, Legal Research and Vice Club LRAC carry on a mission of connecting law students to develop and nurture their passion. One of our biggest goals is to create a competition for students to apply their knowledge into practice and build up experience in the career path. And that's also the reason why ICA Moot 2025 was held.
Before we begin today's hearing, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors who have helped make ICA Moot 2025 possible. Let's extend a warm welcome as we recognize our sponsors.
Academic sponsor, Vietnam Traders Arbitration Center, VTA. On behalf of VTA, please welcome Miss Đặng Diệu Phương, Mr. Nguyễn Hoàng Trương, and Mr. Phạm Hoàng Vũ. Academic sponsor, Lycan Law. On behalf of Lycan Law, please welcome Miss Phạm Thị Thanh Trúc,
Silver sponsor, Hợp Đặng Chamber. Bronze sponsor, Attorney Danny Nguyen.
Bronze sponsor and academic sponsor, Apolat Legal. Bronze sponsor, in-kind sponsor, and academic sponsor, Mooding Summer School.
In-kind sponsor, Do Passion. On behalf of The Passion, please welcome Ms. Đỗ Nguyễn Hiền Hoa, Vice Director of The Passion. In-kind sponsor, Mr. Brown.
In-kind sponsor, Edwin Global. In-kind sponsor, A-Story.
Media sponsor, Whitebox, high quality recruitment social media platform for Vietnamese youth, mạng xã hội tuyển dụng cho giới trẻ Việt Nam. Media sponsor, Edu2Review.
And finally, is media sponsor and in-kind sponsor, Homies MOS. Once again, thank you to all our sponsors for your generous support. Today, we are also honored to have the presence of Ms. Vũ Kim Hạnh Dung, the representative of the Economic Law faculty. Please extend a warm welcome.
In the grand final rounds of ICA Moot 2025, it's our pleasure to have your attendance. Please welcome Ms. Ngô Nguyễn Ngọc Hà, representative of the Communist Youth Unions of Economic Law. Ms. Phạm Ngọc Thanh Trà, the President of Legal Research and Advisory Club. Ms. Nguyễn Trần Nguyên Thư, Vice Chairman of the Associated Organs of Vietnamese Student Associations of Faculty of Economic Law. Ms. Nguyễn Thị Tú Trinh from University of Economic and Law Moot Club.
And now, it is my honor to introduce the members of the tribunal whose expertise and judgment are critically essential in today's grand final hearing. Please extend a warm welcome to the distinguished members of the tribunal. Lecturer at University of Economics and Law, Mr. Nguyễn Hoàng Bảo Khương. Mr. Nguyễn Hoàng Bảo Khương will also be the presiding arbitrator of the tribunal in today's grand final hearing. Arbitrator at Vietnam Traders Arbitration Center, VTA, Mr. Chung Văn Tốt.
Arbitrators at Vietnam Trader Arbitration Center, VTA, Mr. Roger Phu Hoa Nhi. Lecturers at Universities of Economics and Law, Ms. Nguyễn Nguyên Ngọc.
Right now, I'd like to show appreciation to someone who has played a vital role in making ICA Moot 2025 possible, Ms. Nguyễn Trần Vi Thục, the head of the organizing committee. Please welcome Ms. Vi Thục to the stage to have her share her thoughts.
general sponsors, distinguished delegates, and fellow law students. My name is Chung, the head of the organizing committee of ICA Moot 2025. So first of all, I would like to extend my warmest welcome and gratitude to you all for being here at the grand final today. Please give us a warmest applause. ICA Moot has always been serving as a practical platform for Vietnamese law students to sharpen their critical thinking, legal reasoning, and also oral advocacy skills in English. This year marks the 5th season of ICA Moot, with the participation of more than 50 teams from the law faculties across the country. Regarding the success of this competition, I would like to sincerely thank to our sponsor, legal professionals, and also the dedicated member of the organizing committee from Legal Research and Advisory Club, whose support have brought us to where we are today. And I also wish to acknowledge the interest and engagement of the Vietnamese law student community. Without your support, this competition wouldn't have achieved such a memorable milestone like this. And to all the finalist team, congratulations on making it to this stage, regardless of the final results. I believe that you guys already proved yourself as the outstanding representative of the next generation legal professionals. You guys are young, confident, capable, and full of aspirations. So I wish you guys strength of spirit, bold advocacy, and a performance to be proud of. And the end of my opening speech is the official commencement of the grand final of ICA Moot 2025 today. Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to introduce two other important roles in today's grand final hearing. Please welcome our timekeeper, Mr. Nghiên and Ms. Nghiên, and our bailiff, Mr. Buổi. After the impressive performance in the semi-final round, we are proud to present two outstanding teams competing in today's grand final. Representing the claimant, we have Team Penguins. And representing the respondent, we have Team LRAC. We are all very excited to witness the great match between the two teams.
For all team members, please mind that each tournament will last for 16 minutes. Claimants and respondents are each allocated for 30 minutes, including not more than 7 minutes for any rebuttal, so serve rebuttal. Before proceeding each tournament, please confirm again about time allocation for cleaning, rebuttal, so serve rebuttal. Time shall be kept by timekeeper, who will indicate to each oralist when there is first, 5 minutes left, second, 1 minute left, and third, 1 time's up. The tribunal will determine which team win the competition based on the score.
Mooters, I wish you calmness and confidence. With that, I'll now hand the floor over to our bailiff, Mr. Buổi, so that the final oral round can commence now. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. gentlemen, welcome to the final rounds of ICA Moot 2025. I will be the bailiff for today's oral hearing. Now, before we move into the hearing, I would like to reintroduce the presiding arbitrator of this oral hearing, Mr. Buổi. He will be responsible with asking the time allocation for each counsel, including time for rebuttal and rebuttal. I would also like to introduce the members of the tribunal for this oral hearing. Firstly, Mr. Nghiên. Secondly, Mr. Roger Fuani. And finally, Ms. Nghiên. With respect to the case at hand, Autotech Innovation GmbH, hereafter referred to as claimant, against Fujitsu Technology Limited Company, hereafter referred to as respondent. Also, I would like to introduce our counsel in this hearing. Team Penguin as counsel for claimant, Team Nulex as counsel for respondent. The order of the hearing today shall follow: respondent's first speaker, claimant's first speaker, claimant's second speaker, respondent's second speaker, rebuttal and rebuttal. Unless otherwise agreed by both counsels, this will be the official hearing order. Pay attention, members of the tribunal and counsel. I will be going through the rules of the hearing once more. Claimant and respondent are each allocated 30 minutes, including not more than 5 minutes thereof each for any rebuttal or rebuttal. Before each speech, each order must inform the arbitrators about the time allocation for pleadings and rebuttals, rebuttals for the arbitrators. The official session will last for 60 minutes, excluding additional time extended by the presiding arbitrator. The presiding arbitrator can grant each team only a time extension of no more than 5 minutes at the request of the team's oralists before pleading. This time extension shall not be counted towards the session's total duration. Should the oralist exceed the granted extension, the team shall be penalized 1 point for each minute deducted, for each minute exceeded. Finally, to ensure transparency within a speaker's term, there will be timestamp indications in the form of a bell ring to inform the oralist of their remaining speaking time. 1 ring indicates that the oralist has 5 minutes of official speaking time left. 2 ring indicates that the oralist has 1 minute of official speaking time left. And 3 ring indicates that the oralist has no official speaking time left. With all of that, Mr. Presiding Arbitrator, is the tribunal clear of the rules of this hearing? Counsel for claimant, are you clear of the rules? Counsel for defendant, are you clear of the rules? Thank you. And without further ado, Mr. Presiding Arbitrator, from now on, I would like to yield the floor to the Mr. Chair. Thank you, and I wish both teams the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailiff. I would like to invite the representatives of the teams to allocate their time now. Thank you.
Greeting and gratefully all members of the tribunal and the opposing counsels. My name is Buổi. Together with my co-counsel, Buổi, representing the claimant, I will be speaking for the first 10 minutes on the jurisdiction of the case. My co-counsel will be speaking for the next 18 minutes on the merits of the case. We would like to reserve 2 minutes for the rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you, claimant, and please respond.
Greetings, Mr. President and honorable tribunals. First, my name is Fokai. I will be speaking second on the merits of respondent for 15 minutes. My co-counsel, Minchi, will be speaking first on the jurisdictions for 13 minutes. We will reserve 2 minutes for rebuttal. If I may, can I ask if the tribunal wants me to address the tribunal by name, or should I address the tribunal as Mr. Madam Administrator, and Mr. Madam President.
The later, please.
Thank you.
Thank you to teams, and I hope the allocation of time is appropriate with the rules of the competition here today, and I have the confirmation of that from the timekeepers. Thank you. Is the time allocated right according to the rules? Yes, thank you, timekeepers. And moving on, as according to the rule of the competition, I would like to invite the first representative of the respondent to present their case. Thank you.
Greetings, Mr. President and Honorable Members of the Tribunal. My name is Nghiên, representing the respondent alongside with my co-counsel for this current dispute. I'll be speaking first on the jurisdiction issue for 30 minutes, and my co-counsel will present on the merit for 15 minutes. We reserve 2 remaining minutes for rebuttal. If it may please the tribunal, before I begin the submission, I would like to give you an overview of the dispute itself first, unless Mr. President has any objection to that.
If it is possible for you, can you present the overview of the case in 1 minute, please?
So, the dispute presented in front of the member of the tribunal today is a dispute between a buyer and a seller. The respondent, as the seller, has rightfully fulfilled his obligation under the sale contract. The claimant, as the buyer, however, took the position that the respondent had breached his obligation. In light of this, the claimant has submitted the dispute to the VTA. The claimant decision to submit the dispute to the VTA may seem reasonable to the member of the tribunal, as the sale contract itself does stipulate that all dispute arising out of sale contract would be referred to the VTA. However, matter of fact is the parties cannot arbitrate at the VTA. On our submission, respondent would like to make 2 main points. First, the VTA lacks its jurisdiction with the dispute. Second, even if the VTA has jurisdiction, the VTA should reject this case by the discretion. On to the first one. The VTA lacks jurisdiction to hear this current dispute, as the Article 7 sale contract is incapable of being performed. To illustrate this, I would like to direct the member of the tribunal to page 47 of the case record. On the member of the tribunal with me is on page 47.
Please proceed.
So, this is an excerpt of old platform regulation. Now, on Article 34, beginning with any dispute, controversy, or claim, it will be on 5th line of the member would be at this currently. If so, start proceed. It states any dispute, controversy, claim, or difference of any kind whatsoever arising out of or relating to this term of service against or relating to the old platform or from transaction facilitated through the old platform. Any indefinite parties under these terms of service shall be referred to and finally resolved by arbitration in Singapore in accordance with the arbitration rule of the Singapore International Arbitration Center. Now, crucially, old platform regulation mandates that any dispute arising out of transaction facilitated through old platform to be resolved as noticed by the parties themselves in the sale contract in its preamble. The old platform are facilitated the parties' initial interaction and subsequent negotiation.
I'm sorry, counsel, did you say that the parties agreed in the sale contract that they would bring the dispute to SIAC?
No, I really just, we just merely submitted that the parties themselves acknowledge all platform facilitation to the transaction, which would bring them to the scope of all platform regulation.
And how do you explain the arbitration clause that was written and agreed upon in the later sale contract that they would bring the dispute to BTA?
We would submit that it was most likely an oversight. In commercial reality, the dispute resolution clause are often called midnight clause due to this being often rushed to conclude a transaction.
Is there any sign of rush?
The case record is silent on this.
Then how do you prove your point, counsel?
That don't have the answer to that. We will answer your question in the later written submission.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Returning to our submission on what side of jurisdiction. As the party has accepted all platform facilitation to acknowledge all platform facilitation to the transaction. As such, SIAC has jurisdiction to hear this dispute. Now, the sale contract, as noted by Mr. President himself, has referred dispute to arbitration at the BTA. It is both legally and practically impossible to comply with both clauses simultaneously. And as held in the 2023 Ontario Superior Court case, RH20 versus Bergman, this would deprive the BTA of jurisdiction, as the BTA's clause within the sale contract will be rendered incapable to perform. Now, should the member of tribunal not satisfied with my previous argument, we submit.
Sorry, counsel, I'm still not satisfied over the question of why should the agreement of the old platform take priority over the sales contract.
So regarding this,
Excuse me, I also have a question on this one. So, my first question is whether the party aware of arbitration clause under the old platform before the parties signing the sale contract.
can Mr. Arbitrator repeat the question?
I repeat my question. Whether the party aware of the arbitration clause under the old platform before you sign the sale contract.
With the different arbitration law, the case record itself is silent on this.
Okay, so if we assuming that this silent on the party awareness, but my second question is that so if you already have the arbitration laws under the old platform, why the party have adopted additional arbitration law, and it might be the final intention of the party for choosing the BTA?
As this question is similar address, we will answer your question in a later written submission. We currently submitted that it was the BTA's clause was likely an oversight, but as Mr. President has similarly the President has a similar concern, and we will answer it in a later written submission. Regarding Mr. President's question, we submit that all platform regulation should take precedent under the presumption that the parties intended for a singular forum to resolve all dispute arising out there. This presumption is supported by the 2025 English High Court case, Tyson International versus GSU India, where the court faced a similar situation where the parties have two valid dispute resolution agreement, and to resolve this, the court applies the presumption that the party intended for a dispute arising out of them to resolve as single forum. And we submit under this presumption, the arbitral clause within Article 34 will take precedent due to it being widened and is currently capable of applying scope dispute.
I'm sorry, counsel. Are you aware that you are arguing at the VTA arbitration center?
Yes.
Can you tell me whether your appearance here today would be equivalent to your recognition that VTA has jurisdiction?
Can Mr. President clarify the question?
Please tell me whether you think that your appearance here today is the recognition that VTA has jurisdiction.
We submit that it was not as submitted by the respondent in this current dispute. This is a challenge to the VTA jurisdiction and nothing that we believe there will be an omission of the VTA jurisdiction.
Can you explain to me why are you here instead of not being here?
Is to challenge the VTA jurisdiction as the claimant has submitted the dispute to the VTAs first.
And what your later action would be if we think that we have the jurisdiction?
Then we will arbitrate at the VTA with my co-counsel.
I'm sorry, I mean after your session here today, we issue an arbitral award saying that the VTA has jurisdiction. What will you do?
We will most likely to challenge the award itself.
How do you intend to challenge it, counsel?
On the ground of the VTA lacks jurisdiction.
I'm not asking about your argument. I'm asking about your specific action. How do you challenge it? Material action, please.
We will go to relevant authority to challenge the award itself.
That is?
That would be the court of Vietnam.
You tell me why the court of Vietnam has jurisdiction in this case.
The seat of arbitration here it will be the Vietnam.
And that argument is based on which authority?
This is based on the case record itself. Both the parties are in agreement that the seat of arbitration will be Vietnam.
No, I'm asking about your argument that the seat of arbitration is Ho Chi Minh City. And why do you say that the court of Vietnam has jurisdiction based on the information that the seat is Ho Chi Minh City?
Mr. President, I can't answer that right now. We will answer it in a later submission. In light of time, I would like to request for a 2-minute time extension to wrap up the submission.
Yes.
So should the member tribunal not accept that the VTA is incapable in perform, we submit the VTA lacks jurisdiction as the parties have not complied with pre-arbitral procedure requirements. To illustrate this, I would like to direct the member tribunal to page 26 of the case record. This is a sale contract between parties on Article 7.2. On the first line, it says, in case of any conflict arising in or out of this contract, the two parties agree to amicably negotiate the sale. And now, it is important to observe that prior to arbitration, the parties agree to negotiate amicably, and only after the party failed to reach agreement, the arbitration of VTA will be permissible. Doesn't remember the tribunal have certain I see. So similar agreement have been found to be a binding precondition to arbitration. For instance, in the 2014 English High Court case, Primary Export versus Agro Trading Agency, where a town negotiation clause was found to be enforceable.
Yeah, because we climate, because correspondent, we understand that in the settlement plan, the climate have already set up. We have you have to negotiate for the sale, and the negotiation will fail. So my question is that in the settlement plan, do you have any challenge to this one in the settlement plan?
we submit, the respondent did not challenge this in his statement of defense. However, we submit that the respondent feels that it is unnecessary, as the respondent background was outside of jurisdiction instead of the VTA. We further submit the statement of defense does not necessarily have to contain every single legal argument we got.
Does it feel that your position is changed today? You change the position from the segment of defense. That means you have not challenged to the negotiation attempt in the past, but now you challenging the negotiation.
We will also submit that even if negotiation happened, it will not necessarily comply with this precondition. As shown in the 2012 case, Singapore Court of Appeal case, HSBC was Toshi, the applicable negotiation ought to be understood as an obligation to try as far as reasonably possible to reach an agreement via negotiation. As a mere attempt at negotiation will not comply, will not satisfy this precondition. In light of time, I would like to request for additional 1 minute submission as time extension.
Okay, so I also have one final question for you. That you also refer to the decision from the English High Court. So, what is relevant in this arbitration? Considering that if the scene of arbitration today in Vietnam that you already have mentioned.
So within the national provision of Vietnam, at least in this case, there is a provision that the tribunal should have regard for its international origin as an promote uniformity in its application. And as such, we submit that the tribunal should have consideration for international case law. Does this answer the question? Or
why in this High Court decision in the international case law?
It is to establish that this negotiation clause is enforceable. As there are certain case law that have a negotiation clause would not, mere negotiation clause would not be enforceable. However, a timed negotiation clause like this current dispute would be.
But my concern is that the decision from the court of any country, it should be like dogmatic case law rather than international like the CIC for something like that.
Can the member John clarify that again? I did not hear that.
Sorry, it means that the English High Court in our view, it should be considered a dogmatic case law, not the international case law dealing with the international issue.
So to slight correction, it would be that the member tribunal shall have regard to practice from around the world, which include.
Yes, thank you, Council. I would like to invite the first representative of the claimant to present their case.
Greeting the tribunal and the opposing counsel. My name is Buổi. I was speaking on the jurisdiction for the first 10 minutes. With respect to the jurisdiction, the claimant submits that the BTA retained its jurisdiction to this dispute. The respondent's objection to BTA jurisdictions pursuant to the term of overflow service are fundamentally flawed. We will address two main points. First, the dispute is within the scope of a sales contract, and second, the dispute is beyond the term service of the old platform. Regarding the first point, we submit that the dispute is for within the scope of a sales contract. May I please direct the tribunal to page 26 of the case record. Pursuant to Article number 2, both parties agree to resolve any and all contractual disputes by arbitration at the BTA. The both parties solve the current disputes in relation to the delivery and conformity of goods, which arise from the contractual obligation in accordance with this sales contract. Therefore, both parties shall resolve this dispute at the BTA. In addition, There are several attempts between parties to negotiate about this dispute before. The respondent claimed that we did not have amicable negotiation. Therefore, this cannot activate the arbitration. The claimants object to this. First, may I please direct the tribunal to page 37 and 38 of the case record. The claimant sent an email to the respondents on July 19th, and then the respondent rejected our requests on July 23rd. Even when there is the silence from the claimant, this does not affect the dispute settlement. Pursuant to Article 742, both parties did not agree to the governing law of the arbitration agreement, and the cease of arbitration is in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam. Even when the cease of arbitration is not so clear concept in Vietnam, both parties agree to resolve this dispute at a Vietnamese center. Therefore, the governing law for this arbitration is the Vietnamese law. And
Excuse me, private, so you refer to 38 and 37 email?
yes, this.
So in this email, we understand that it only refers to your complete offer, the non-conforming rules, and request for compliance. It's not talk about or negotiate about the arbitration law.
Yes, I want to move so the tribunal that both parties have several attempts, and after that, even then when there is a silence from both parties about the arbitration, the arbitration clause, the arbitral clause can still activate and BJ still has its jurisdiction.
Counsel, do you have any case law test on what can constitute a negotiation?
Sorry, I don't have any case law to constitute this. Yes, so next I prove that.
I'm sorry, so based on which elements do you propose that these two emails constitute a negotiation?
The tribunal negotiations is a process of bargaining between parties about the dispute, about the sales and dispute between them, even when those emails are not reach any agreement, but there are a communication between parties about the dispute.
So you are saying communication is equal to negotiation? Is that what you are saying?
No, the tribunal. I have no answer to your question, so I want to move to the next point.
Thank you. What will you do? What's your physical action later if the arbitral award issued by us does not recognize these two emails as a negotiation? 2 more minutes, please.
I move to the next point because I have more time. Can I move please to the more important points in our submission?
I would prefer that you answer my question now, Counsel.
Can you make it clear for me again? Sorry.
What will you do materially, physically, if the arbitral award issued by us does not recognize these two emails as negotiation?
Thank you for your question. If the tribunal not recognizes a negotiation, in Vietnam, the skipping pre-arbitral conditions does not determine the dispute settlement. As we mentioned, the governing law is the Vietnamese law for the arbitration agreement. And according to Article 5 of the law on commercial arbitration, it's not required pre-arbitral conditions to settle a dispute, not just only require days and arbitration agreement. Thank you. With this point, let's move to another important submissions. Regarding the second point of our submissions, the dispute is beyond the overall terms. First, The old platform is a B2B e-commerce platform operated by Vietnamese company. Therefore, its activities is governed by Vietnamese law. In Vietnam, B2B commerce platform is categorized as a type of website provide e-commerce service, and according to Article 1.3 of the Decree 85 in 2021, the B2B commerce service provide an environment for for the traders, organizing or individually, but it just provide technical infrastructures. And then, as confirmed by procedural order number 2, there is no connection between the old platform and the sales contract. Even when this has a role in the negotiation, it's not determine the party mutual consent when they establish their commercial relationship. The old platform here just provide an environment, a website, a technical way communication for party, and it's not affect any relationship or mutual consent. It's just like a platform and its users.
Excuse me, Clive, I have one question. Does the violation under the online platform that allow the party to amend the content of the online platform, for example, the arbitration clause in the net sale contract?
Thank you, your question. We submit that we cannot change the arbitration agreement between parties because first the dispute not any connection to the term service of the old platform, and then as we mentioned, there is no transaction facility from through the old platform between party, and the dispute has no connection to to the old platforms. Therefore, it cannot.
So can you explain more for why you said that the transaction is not facilitated from the online platform?
Yes, I acknowledge your questions. Even the old platform provide an environment, a technical website, is not have determined or affect or engage in any process of decision, making decision from parties when they have mutual desire to engage in a sales contract or their transaction. The old platform not have any contribution to the execution and performance obligation for the parties. Therefore, there is no transaction facilitated through the old platform.
Do you ask for additional time, Counsel?
It's then 30 minutes to conclude my submissions. 30 seconds to conclude my submission.
Okay, 30 seconds.
Thank you, Tribunal. In light of those, we submit that the BJ will defend all its authority to hear this dispute, and the respondents assertions that the BTA lack jurisdiction pursuant to the term service of the old platform are baseless. Therefore, we respectfully that the BTA have full jurisdiction over the dispute. Unless any further questions, I will like to conclude my submission.
Thank you, Counsel. I would like to invite the second representative of the respondent to present their case. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. It's my mistake. The second representative of the client, please.
Greetings, members of the tribunal and opposing counsel. My name is Buổi, also representing the client in this proceeding. In the next 80 minutes, I will be presenting the substantive issues regarding the merits of this case. Tribunal, the respondent invokes an earthquake as a force majeure event in order as an excuse for their late delivery and in an attempt to avoid its responsibility, and try to shift the blame onto the client for a letter of credit issuance. And not only did the respondent deliver the goods late, they also in their second shipment deliver goods that did not conform with the agreed specifications and regulations. In this submission, the claimant submit two main issues. First, the respondent has breached the contract for late delivery of goods, and second, the respondent has breached the contract for delivering non-conforming goods. Regarding the first issue, we submit two main points. First, the respondent cannot invoke the letter of credit issuance as an excuse for the late delivery. And second, the respondent cannot invoke the earthquake as the force majeure event clause. First, the respondent cannot rely on the delayed issuance of letter of credit as an excuse for the late delivery. The respondent has failed to deliver the goods on the agreed date. So both parties have agreed that the date for the second shipment is supposed to be on April 4th. However, the respondent disregards of these contractual obligations and only deliver the goods on April 26th. This delay constitutes a breach of Article 33.8 under CIST, which regards the seller obligation to deliver the goods on the date that has been inferred from the contract. So therefore, the respondent has failed to deliver the goods on the agreed date. And the second point is that there is no causal link between the issuance of the letter of credit and the late delivery of the respondent. Under Article 2.2b of the sales contract, may I direct the tribunal to exhibit CO3 of the case record on page 23. This article is regarding the payment method via letter of credit. This states that the letter of credit must be issued no later than 15 business days after the signing date of this contract, which is March the 8th, and the receipt of certificate of warranty. This certificate of warranty was received by the claimant on March 29, which means that the last date for the letter of credit to be issued must be April 19. The claimant, upon receiving the certificate of warranty, immediately requests for the opening of the letter of credit on the issuing bank, which is the Bank AG, on the same day, demonstrating its commitment to contractual obligations and to issue the letter of credit as soon as possible in order for the respondent to proceed with the second shipment as soon as possible. Therefore, the claimant submits that we have fulfilled our letter of credit issuance on time, which is still within 15 business days. And under Article 3.2 of the sales contract, may I direct the tribunal to page 24 of the case record, is still in Exhibit CO3. So, under this article, the shipment must be made based on receipt of full payment under Article 2.2 of the sales contract. So, pursuant to Article 2.2 of the sales contract, the payment made by the letter of credit is payable at sight, which means that the issuing bank is irrevocably bound to honor as of the time the letter of credit is issued, which means that the letter of credit is binding upon issuance, and the claimant's payment obligation is discharged by the time that the letter of credit is officially issued on April the 5th, and not from the time that the respondent physically received the original letter of credit on April 15th. And moving on to our second point.
I'm sorry, counsel, how do you explain the problem of force majeure here regarding the earthquake?
Yes, thank you for your question. Moving to our second point is that the respondent cannot invoke the force majeure event under the earthquake. So under Article 79.1 CIST, which relieves a party of liability for a failure to perform any of its obligations due to impediments if, first, the impediment is beyond control. Second, at the time the contract is concluded, both the affected party could not reasonably be expected to have taken into account, and third, the party could not have reasonably avoided or overcome the impediment
or to its consequence. And the claimant submits that all three requirements is the burden of proof of the respondents if they were to benefit from the force majeure event clause. And in the email that the respondent has sent to the claimant noticing of the earthquake, may I direct the tribunal to exhibit R03 on page 46 of the case record. So in this email of notifications, the respondent only informed that there is an earthquake that occurred with the factory operations without any proof proving that this impediment was beyond control, that they cannot be foreseeable, they are unforeseeable, or any measures have been taken.
Thank you, counsel. Can you tell me whether this obligation to prove an event as a force majeure event is recognized by any source of law or case law?
Thank you for your question. The claimants submit that even though we currently do not have any case law to support this, however, we submit that under Article 79.4 of the CISG submit that the affected party have an obligation to notify to the claimant if they were to benefit from the force majeure.
Counsel, so you are saying informing is equal to proving, is that correct?
No, the claimant did not submit that informing is equal to proving. However, in the information that in the notifications, it is applied that the respondent must prove that all the requirements of the under Article 79.1 is satisfied in order to benefit from the force majeure event clause.
But excuse me, in Article 6.2b of the sale contract, is that in the affected party shall notify the other party about impact on the ability to perform the application, and it's only like they only need to set out the impact, so no need to detail. So how are you?
Thank you for your question. The claimant submits that in this article, we did set out the requirements under Article 6.2b of the sales contract, which specify the requirements of notification, which involve the date of occurrence, the impact thereof on the ability to perform of the affected party, and any remedial measures, if any, and the respondent also have to inform in 24 hours after the earthquake has occurred, which was not shown in the email notifying to the claimant.
Claimant, do you think, and this is based on your personal view I'm asking, do you think it is necessary for the aggrieved party which has suffered an earthquake to notify you in 24 hours?
The claimant submits that within the 24 hours is the time limit that both parties have set out in the sales contract, which means they have assumed the risk of the earthquake that could possibly be occur, and which means that when both parties have agreed with the 24 hours, which means...
I'm sorry, are you saying that they foresaw the earthquake?
We submit that under Article 6.1 of the force majeure event clause under the sales contract on page 25, both parties have listed the events which can be considered as force majeure events, and the earthquake is listed as one of those conditions, which means that by the time they conclude the contract, they must have taken earthquake into account.
Thank you, counsel. You may proceed. I'm sorry.
Well, I have one question. Because you state out the Article 6.1 that the parties agree that earthquake is one of the force majeure. So in your opinions, whether this Article 6.1 will make the parties don't have to prove anything to prove the force majeure, or will the Article 79 of the CISG will prevail?
Yes, the claimants acknowledge that both parties have set out the earthquake as a force majeure event clause. However, although we agree that this event could be beyond the impediment under the Article 79.1 of CISG, however, in order for the affected party to benefit from this force majeure clause, they still need to fulfill the obligations of notifications, which the tribunal complies under Article 6.2c of the sales contract. If they fail to notify, then they could not benefit from this clause.
Counsel, I believe we are asking about the obligation to prove rather than to notify.
Yes, the claimants acknowledge that even though that both parties have set out as earthquake as a force majeure event clause, however, under Article 79.1, they need to take. There is one third requirement that they need to take reasonable efforts, and these efforts must show that they have good faith in contracting with the sales contract, and the reasonable efforts is also underscored under Article 6.3 of the sales contract on page 26 of the case record, and this reasonable efforts is also one of the elements under Article 79.1 in order to benefit from the force majeure event clause. Therefore, the claimant still submits that the burden of proof is based on the respondent.
So claimant, could you elaborate more on how to define reasonable efforts or use any principle or rule according to the CSG of the CSG? Please.
The claimant submits that the reasonable effort is that because an earthquake is not an unforeseeable. May I ask for 2 minutes extension?
Yes, counsel.
Thank you. So, this is a reasonable effort means that because this earthquake is not unforeseeable, therefore the respondent must act and even to take precautions measure to prevent or even to minimize the impact, and cannot just wait for the earthquake to happen without taking any reasonable measures like a bystander, and which in the case at hand, the respondent has not proven any reasonable efforts has been taken by.
Then can I ask, how do you define the reasonable actions in this case, in this aspect?
As the claimant has stated, the burden of proof to prove reasonable efforts is on the respondent, and in such case, the reasonable efforts has not been shown by the respondent.
Thank you, counsel. I believe we are asking about your personal opinion. What are the physical efforts that the other party should have made, according to you personally?
The claimant submits that as an earthquake is not an unforeseeable event in such case, and therefore the respondent should have taken precautions measures in order for the factory operations to operate and to minimize the impact as much as possible, because this is the second shipment, and the date from the first shipment to the second.
Counsel, I'm asking, what are the specific efforts should they make?
The claimant submits that this rely on the responsibility of the respondent to make efforts, since the claimant is a company based in Germany without.
Because according to me, it seems impossible to do anything to stop an earthquake or to mitigate it as much as possible, because it's unforeseeable.
The claimant submits that both parties have assumed earthquake in the sales contract, which means that prior to the factory operation, they should have had some precaution measures, although maybe not impossible to mitigate all the impacts, but at least could mitigate or to reduce the loss of the impact that could be caused on the climate. However, and also that this temporary halt in operations takes only 7 days, and after that the respondent can resume to operations, which means that it is not that impossible to solve or to mitigate.
Thank you, Council. You may proceed, but I have to say that I recognize that you are not in a position to say whether something is possible or not for the respondent to do, because you do not understand their business organization. Thank you.
Yes. So moving on to our third submission is that the claimant submits that the respondent breached the contract while failing to provide the goods in accordance with the agreed specifications and regulations. The claimant submits 2 main points is that first, the claimant has the right to rely on non-conformity policy, and second, the respondent failed to deliver goods that fit the agreed specifications and standards. Under Article 38 CISG, that the claimant must examine the goods within a short periods as this is practicable in the circumstances, which means that we must examine it within reasonable time. And under Article 4.2 of the sales contract, the AI feature has the right to be inspected for 2 months upon arrival. And the arrival date of the AI feature devices is on June 28th. And the inspection report was turned out on July 12th, which means that it's still within the 2 months timeline. And under
because we have one person. In the contract, in Article 1, the party have agreed to buy the automotive device, and the automotive device need to be compliant with the EU applicable regulation. So my question is that how the AI regulation is relevant on this case that it's not like provided in the sale contract.
Thank you for your question. The claimant submits that the specifications that has been set out is to be compliant with the EU applicable regulations and the EU AI Act, which means that the EU AI Act is also involved in this clause.
Sorry, is the AI is not like listed in the sale contract. In the sale contract, you only said about the automotive device, and so I think in your understanding that EU regulation can apply like in umbrellas cloth that cover all of the issue, or only relating to the automotive device.
Yes, thank you. We submit that the purpose of to purchase for this contract is to buy the
Council, you're out of time. Can I ask the timekeepers whether they are available to be given how much time? 5 minutes. Okay. Do you ask for additional time?
Minister, we will grant for me 2 more minutes.
Okay, 2 more minutes.
Regarding the question from the arbitrator, the claimant submits that the purpose to purchase the goods is the AI integrated automotive device, which means that the AI integrated is the material fact, is one of the important reason why the claimant decide to purchase for this device.
Excuse me, what in the sale contract refer to AI?
Although in the sales contract we refer to automotive device, but in the Article 1.1, which is the description on the page 82 at the bottom of the page, the description is that AI integrated device to enhance automotive driving pleasure goods. and this is the detailed description that these automatic devices incorporate the AI integrated feature.
It is combined at the component of the cell contract.
May I confirm that your question is the AI have to conform with the EU applicable regulations?
No. It means that why the party have not agreed for the AI into the cell contract.
The claimant submits that by specifications that EU applicable regulations, this clause still incorporate the EU AI Act without specifying any details which act and which regulations must be complied with.
But my question is that why the cell contract party have not agreed to really improve the AI regulation under to the cell contract? If you say that it's very important, why the party have not agreed on that point?
Because the claimant submits that we did rely on the skill and the knowledge of the manufacturer, which is the respondent, who better understand about the EU, who better understand about the goods that they manufacture and about the EU, about the regulations that should be applied for the goods to be purchased and to be sold.
And my second question is that so do you have any requirement or any letter of demand to the respondent for that comply with the EU regulation?
The claimant submits that although we do not have any specific letter about the EU AI Act, but we still submit that EU applicable regulations also include this AI Act.
I'm sorry, timekeepers, how many times do they?
Client has only 30 seconds left for additional time.
Do you ask for 30 more seconds, counsel?
Yes.
Okay.
So, moving to our submission regarding the non-conforming goods, we submit that these goods did not conform with the under Article 35.2b of the sales contract, that is, did not fit for a particular purpose which the claimant has held out to the respondent, which is the EU AI applicable regulations, and the claimant did rely on the seller's skills and knowledge, and as the respondent is the sole manufacturer of this, so it is reasonable for the claimant to place the trust on the superior knowledge of the sellers who will be able to evaluate the goods.
Thank you, counsel. I would like to invite the second representative of the respondent to present their case. Thank you.
Greetings, Mr. President and Honorable Tribunals. My name is Phúc Anh, and I will proceed with my co-counsel Minh Chi to present the merits on behalf of respondent, Fujiso Technology Limited Company. Before I begin, may I ask if the tribunal wants me to re-illustrate the background of the dispute, or should I go directly to my main submissions? Thank you.
Please go directly.
Thank you. For our main submissions, respondent would like to make the following two main submissions. First, respondent did not deliver the goods late. And second, respondent did not breach a contract as the goods delivered are conforming. Moving on to our first submissions regarding late delivery, respondent would like to clarify its view that it had not breached a contract for late delivery by making the following three main points. First, it did not deliver the goods late pursuant to the agreement. Second, claimant made both its payments late. And finally, even if somehow the tribunal deemed the delivery as late, the respondent is still given the exemption of liability. And if I may, before I begin, can I ask if the tribunal has a certain order that they want me to make my points in, or should I proceed with my original pleadings?
Please proceed.
Thank you. Moving on to our first point. Claimant misunderstood the application of Article 33, subparagraph A of the CISG, thus resulting in an inaccurate application of the above provision. The correct provision which applies here is Article 33B of the CISG, which grants the respondent a given period of time to fulfill its delivery obligations. For this, I would like to refer the tribunal to page 29 of the case record. If the counsel is here with me, page 29 is the irrevocable letter of credit. On the lower half, below section number 4 on shipment details, it has been clearly agreed by the parties that shipments shall be made within 60 days from the date of full payment receipt, which is a clear intention of the parties that Article 33B applies in this case. Respondent received its full payment through the Courier Receivable LC on April 15, 2024, thus is given 60 days until June 15, 2024 to fulfill its obligations. Respondent delivered the goods on April 26, 2024. Therefore, it is clear that it did not deliver the goods late.
Counsel, can you explain to me, did you make any notification to the claimant on this difference in the obligation of shipment?
To answer your questions, because respondent submits that Article 33B of the CISG apply, it is commonly mutually agreed between the parties that there is a given period of time instead of a specific fixed date, which claimant asserts is on April 15, 2024. And as there is a given period of time, respondent is given the privilege to choose between any appropriate time within that given period to fulfill its delivery obligations.
Counsel, so you're saying it is your right not to inform them in accordance with CISG?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If I may, I would like to move on to my second point regarding late delivery. Even if somehow Article 33, subparagraph A, applies towards sales contract, claimant still made both its payments late by 3 and 7 business days, respectively. Claimant made no arguments regarding its first late payment of 3 days. However, it asserted that it did not issue the LC late. For this, I would like to point out that claimant has misinterpreted the payment article of payment clause of the sales contract. The issuance of the LC should be issued no later than 15 business days and on the day of the receipt of certificate of warranty, which is on March 29th, 2024. However, not until a week later, on April 5th, 2024, that claimant issued the LC. Therefore, it issued the LC late. And in such cases where payments are late, under Section 2.4 of the sales contract.
I'm sorry, Counsel, can you be clearer on this regarding the dates?
Here it is stated that the LC should be issued no later than 15 business days from the conclusion of the contract, which is on March 29th, 2024, and also on the date of the receipt of the certificate of warranty, which is also on March 29th, 2024. And therefore, that should be the date that the LC is issued.
According to the case record, the claimant issued an LC to the respondent on the 29th of March.
It did not. It issued the LC on April 5th, 2024. Therefore, respondent submits that claimant had issued the LC late by 7 business days.
How do you explain whether the hacking of their bag was not a force majeure event?
For this, I would like to apply the case law raw materials Inc. In this case law, the court applied a 3-stage test in order for an event to be considered an impediment. 3 criteria must be met. First, whether an impediment occurred. Second, whether the impediment made performance impractical. And finally, whether the impediment was foreseeable. We make no arguments regarding the first and final criteria. However, we make that the impediment did not make the performance impractical. And to support this view, I would like to refer to the case law, Suez Canal cases. Here, the English court had denied an exemption as it was not an exclusive route. an alternative route had to be taken, even if it would involve additional expense and time. There was no fact regarding the case record that claimant could not issue the LT through an alternative bank, even though it involved additional expense and time. Therefore, the banking incident is by any means not regarded as an impediment.
Counsel, the lacking of information regarding the bank of the client does not prove that they are able to transfer money through another bank. The lacking of information does not prove what you are saying.
I believe that this is a liability of the claimant that they should notify us of the impediment, as both the contract and the CISG has stipulated that if they want to enforce a force majeure under Article 6 or an impediment under Article 79 of the CISG, it is required that they make certain communications to us. However, there were no communications in between regarding the banking incident, and respondent only realized of such impediment through a newspaper. Therefore, it could not be given the exemption of liability for banking incident.
Thank you, Counsel.
Thank you. I would like to also point out Article 80. Yes, Counsel.
I would like to ask, I'd like to clarify a little bit, that is like the late delivery of your first delivery affect the late delivery of the certificates of warranty?
We submit that we did not deliver the goods late, and even if so, it did not affect the late issuance of the certificate of warranty, because we did that accordingly with the timestamps required by the agreements in between. Thank you. Before I continue with my submissions, may I ask for a time extension of 2 minutes?
Yes, Counsel.
Thank you. I would also like to point out that Article 80 of the CISG applies towards respondent in this case, as claimant made both its payments late. Therefore, claimant loses any right to rely on respondent's failure to perform, even though, and the fact that the banking incident is a force majeure or not is by any means not irrelevant. It's not relevant for the application of Article 80 of the CISG. Therefore, even if it is given the force majeure for banking incident, we could still apply Article 80 in this case to excuse us for the late delivery in such cases. Moving on to our final points regarding late delivery, respondent suffered from an earthquake, which is de facto listed under Section 6 of the sales contract as a force majeure. Respondent followed all contractual contingency protocols such as communication, listing up all the requirements stated in the contract, therefore should be given the exemption of liability accordingly.
Counsel, I recognize your argument, but do you violate the principle of goodwill if you don't prove to them or tell them clearly what damages you suffer?
Yes. For the questions regarding good faith, I would like we acknowledge the fact that respondent carries the burden of proof to apply the force majeure. Here, I would like to also refer to the case law of raw materials Inc., which applied the 3-stage test that we applied for claimant for our own case. When applying the raw materials Inc. case, we satisfy all the requirements as listed in the 3-stage test, and respondent cannot claim that as respondent is located in Japan, that it could not be applied, the force majeure does not apply, as in the raw materials Inc. The respondent also suffered from an impediment, and the claimant also asserted that because claimant comes from a country where it is common with that kind of impediment, it should not be applied. However, the earthquake is by any means not foreseeable, as we could not predict the exact time of the occurrence of such an event. Therefore, it still satisfies the criteria for impediment.
Excuse me, Mr. Woman. We understand that the requirement on way that our could be treated as a force majeure. However, they challenge you that you have not like moving the impact of the damage from the outward to your production.
To answer this question, we communicated in advance of the earthquake in order to let claimant know that we suffer from an earthquake. We also stated that the earthquake prevented us from any production, as stated in the communication email, as mentioned by claimant in their submissions. However, it is hard for us in such a small time that we are able to account of the actual damage that occurred towards the respondent. Therefore, we did our best in order to communicate all the remaining requirements for respondent.
Do you ask for additional time?
I did ask for, I would ask for another extension of 1 minute.
Do you think the arbitrator respondent has no more additional time for it?
Thank you. In light of time, I would like to proceed with our final submissions regarding conformity. Respondent holds a mutual position with claimant that the main issue in contention is the applicability of the ICA Act and also the implications set forth by the sample model. For this, respondent would like to submit the following 3 main points. First, by any means, claimant loses the right to rely on lack of conformity as it did not communicate in advance accordingly with agreements towards respondent of such nonconformity. Secondly, the ICA Act is not applicable. And finally, respondent followed all the requirements set forth by the sample model. Beginning with our first point, Article 39, subsection 1 of the CISG has made that the claimant loses its right to rely on nonconformity if it does not communicate such nonconformity in a reasonable time. However, the phrase reasonable time has been highly criticized as vague. Therefore, it has always been anticipated as the contractual agreements would prevail over the Article 39, subsection 1 of the CISG. In the contract, on page 24, on the lower half, under Article 4 on inspection, if the counsel is here with me, I would like to point out that any damage, defect, or other non-compliance with this contract that the buyer notices as a result of such inspection shall be immediately, but in no event later than within 48 hours after the awareness of such defects be notified to the seller. Through the inspection report, claimant had detected such nonconformity on June 12th, July 12th, 2024. Thus, it's given 48 hours before the end of July 14th, 2024 to communicate such nonconformity with respondent. However, it did not do so until a week later, therefore loses any right to rely on lack of conformity.
Counsel, do you recognize that it was your spirit at the signing of the contract to make sure that the goods will be legally imported into the EU?
Yes, we do acknowledge that our goods will be delivered to an EU country. However, we would apply the case law, New Zealand Muscles case, which the Court of Appeal had reasoned that, based merely on the fact that respondent need to deliver the goods to a storage in Germany, does not necessarily constitute an agreement regarding the resaleability of the goods, especially in Germany. Therefore, even if we acknowledge that we're shipping the goods to a claimant in Germany, does not constitute an express or implied agreement that we would follow the ICA Act.
If that is your intended spirit at the start, then why did you not specify Article 1.3 of the sales contract?
I believe that the EU's applicable regulations here, I would refer to the authority on Article 8, subparagraph 3 of the CISG. In determining the intent of a party, regards has to be given to all relevant circumstances, including the negotiations and practices in between. For my final submission, I would like to refer the tribunal to page 19 of the case record. Here, on the upper half, under section 2.4, on compliance and certifications, it has been clearly written that the goods comply with EU's automotive regulations. Therefore, the phrase use applicable regulations in the sales contract should only extend towards automotive regulations, excluding the Use AI Act, as it governs two separate things.
Thank you, counsel. You may proceed.
In light of time, I would like to respondent would like to submit that respondent did not deliver the goods late, and even if it does, it is given the excuse for late delivery. And finally, the goods delivered are conforming. I will conclude my submissions here. Thank you.
So sorry, I have final question that you refer to SABC 01 regarding the AI Act. So you also understand that the would need to be meet the requirement for AI, but why you have not complied with the AI EU AI regulation?
Could you rephrase the question, please?
Okay, I refer to SABC 01 that you have understand that the AI is one of the requirement under the sales contract, but why have you not comply with the AI EU AI regulation?
Respondent submits that according to the quotation Exhibit C01, as the Council has addressed, it has written that it complies with EU's automotive regulations, and the definition for automotive and AI is by any means different and cannot be used inseparably. Therefore, the EU's applicable regulations.
Could you please tell us or elaborate that how's in the come 2020 CRF?
Sorry, arbitrators and counsel, the time for the official time has ended, and the additional time has also been allocated. Please, thank you.
So could you please tell us the allocation of the responsibility of the CRF? Who is responsible for the export or import documents?
Okay. I acknowledge the fact that we acknowledge the fact that the CIF Incoterm is stipulated between the parties as a trade negotiation that applies with the sales contract, as mentioned in the
to abide by the new AI. This new AI Act was not in effect at the time of the signing of the contract. Are you telling us that they have the obligation, the standard of goods, even after the time of the signing of the contract?
The claimant referred to the EU AI Act because in the second shipment, OLAF form. However, the claimants object to that on ground that the relationship between both the years, the OLAF forms, is a platform and its user. However, the transaction between the party in this case is a commercial transaction. So there is no transaction facilitated, and the OLAF form not contribute to the execution performance or the process of agreement between parties.
So the claimant's rebuttal.
I'm sorry, counsel. I have to cut you there. Claimant, are you done with your rebuttal?
Yes, I'm done with my rebuttal.
Thank you. Yes, you may proceed.
Claimant rebuttal that the transaction was not, the old platform itself had zero connection with the sale contract. We submit that the fact old platform have zero connection with the sale contract itself is irrelevant as to the applicability of old platform regulation. Both parties have agreed to old platform term, and they themselves acknowledge old platform.
người cái trên chị đi cô Huyền đi cô Huyền Dạ.